Dr. Vanita Rattan. I'm a doctor, but also a cosmetic formulator specifically for skin of color. And many of you have asked me to review ALIA Bhatt's skincare video with her sister. And I was shocked, actually. So I'm really excited to talk about my findings. And I have the beautiful Anushka with me today, who is all things Bollywood. You can follow her on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok as well,
Yes,
right?
TikTok as well, and Facebook too.
Yeah.
Yes, all there. And I'm so excited to do this video with Dr. V today. If you remember one of our previous series, we did a pre-pregnancy for ALIA. Yeah. We did a reaction video to her. Yeah. So now we're doing a post one for her as well.
Yes, and I was really stunned, to be honest. So in a good way, and some things that can maybe be improved upon. But a disclaimer, we love the sisters, we love the Bhatt sisters, and we don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. But we are going to be brutally honest, and we are going to come from evidence-based information to tell you the things that I would adopt from her routine and the things to maybe sidestep. So if that sounds good to you, give me a thumbs up. Let's dive right in. And don't forget, I'm in the comment section for 1 hour at the launch of every video. So when you subscribe, hit that notification bell. Without further ado, let's dive right in.
Very different skin types. We also have very different skin tones. We have very different skin concerns. So the way that we approach our routines are also really different because of that.
Okay. So my skin type, I would say I have combination skin. Like sometimes my skin can be very dry. I get like dry patches literally. And sometimes I have like certain sections like my T-zone that can get very, very oily and my pores can clog up very quickly.
Let me pause this. Okay, so I love the fact that they're talking about skin types. So we tend to talk about it as normal skin, oily skin, combination skin, or dry skin. So when we talk about combination skin, we tend to say T-zone oily. This is where you have more sebaceous glands, in which case you want to use salicylic acid spray in this area. And you tend to have drier cheeks. So in this area, you want to use more emollients. So that's hopefully what she's doing with this.
Don't like deeply cleanse, for example.
You also have sensitive skin.
I also have sensitive skin, especially during my pregnancy. My skin was extremely sensitive. That's a separate video altogether, where I really had to just cut it down.
Absolutely. So sensitive skin is another problem. It tends to mean a damaged skin barrier. And also, if you live in a city or around a lot of pollution, you have free radicals being generated in the skin. And this can also damage the skin barrier. So you want to be using antioxidants in your skincare routine. But ultimately, you want to avoid fragrance. Fragrance is the enemy when it comes to skincare, especially in skin of color, because fragrance can lead to contact dermatitis in 3 to 4% of the population, which then leads to hyperpigmentation. So it's something that you want to avoid.
I didn't literally do anything. I tried out so many products, I remember, that were sensitive, but they were still like irritating my skin, for example.
My skin type is the complete opposite. I don't have sensitive skin at all, but my skin is really, really dry.
Okay.
I also deal with a lot of acne. My skin's not really happy right now. I've got a couple of blemishes and a couple of spots.
Beautiful.
Oh, really good. So when you have acne-prone skin, unfortunately, a lot of the ingredients that we use can further dry the skin. So what you tend to find, you get into a vicious cycle where you're treating the acne, say for example with benzoyl peroxide and salicylic acid, but this further dries the skin. Now you're stuck in a situation where you don't know what to do, and actually it's something you really don't want to get into, because then you start to moisturize the skin and you don't know if that's going to lead to more breakouts. So it's not ideal situation, but it can happen, especially rosacea with acne. That's another common thing. So classic ingredients that she should be using would be things like ceramides, peptides, fatty moisturizers, but also spot treatment. So I'd say benzoyl peroxide just on the actual spots itself, not on the entire face. So you're almost doing you're treating 2 different skin conditions on the same face. They're so cute together.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I deal with a lot of acne, I deal with a lot of pigmentation, so my concerns are really different from ALIA skincare concerns. And What was
Should stop
really
doing
interesting for me is because I used to deal with a lot of acne when I was younger, I didn't realize that dry skin can also cause, I used to think my skin was oily. But I didn't realize that dry skin can actually also cause oily skin because your skin compensates for the lack of oil and it
Produces more
does
sebum.
excessive sebum production.
Correct.
So which I was very confused. I was like, oh, I didn't realize that. I always thought my skin was oily until
Correct.
I realized it was dry.
Yeah.
And once I started giving it adequate moisture, that
Yes.
oiliness just completely
Absolutely.
evaporated.
We love you, Shaheen.
Yeah,
right?
she's
I
on the
love
point,
it,
isn't she?
yeah.
She's absolutely right. And this is such a myth that if you have oily skin, you shouldn't moisturize. Hands up, how many of you have heard that myth before? Everyone's hands up. Write down the comment if you've heard that myth before. It's such a common myth because you think, oh, my skin's oily, why would I put moisturizer on? But actually, if you don't, your skin feels tight and it is a feedback loop is going back and you start producing more sebum, which clogs the pores again and leads to more acne. So you really want to have a nice, supple, hydrated skin barrier. It's healthy, and that's the best way really to tackle the acne. So she's spot on.
So yeah, we're very, very different skin types in that sense.
And skin insecurities. Okay, that's another thing that I think we should address because everybody has a certain set of insecurities for which they focus on skincare.
Yes.
I think my primal insecurity has always been acne. I mean, I'm somebody who's really struggles
I didn't
with
know
that.
that.
acne?
No.
I touch wood, do not like have massive breakout, but even if I get that one odd pimple,
Yeah.
it really drives me crazy.
Tends to happen before
and
your
I'm one
period
of
as
those
well.
people
Yes.
who tends to pick. I know it's
Yeah.
like it's a sin. You're not meant to pick your pimples, but I just can't help it.
I know.
I'm like,
Oh, I love her. She's completely right. Hands up, how many of you picked your pimple?
Always so bad.
So why is it so bad? Why is it so bad? The reason is that when you pick a pimple, you almost like squeeze it, but what you're doing is you're damaging that pore. So have you noticed that if you've picked a pimple, the pimple keeps coming back in the same place? Have you noticed that?
Yes.
That's because that pore is now damaged. It's a bit kinky, and so actually it's easier to plug that pore again. And so it comes back again and again in the same position. So that's why we say don't pick a pimple. In addition, obviously it can lead to hyperpigmentation and scarring, which we don't want. So with skin of color, we have larger melanocytes. They are easier to trigger. So I always say one scratch, one bite, or one burn, and we hyperpigment. So we can't afford to irritate the skin. So she's absolutely spot on.
one of the things that has really, I think, helped me not pick on my pimple is using a pimple patch.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Okay.
It
Very good.
helps,
I
in
highly
my
recommend
opinion,
it.
helps dry out the pimple and
Nice.
bring
Not so
out
much dry it
whatever
out.
Okay.
is underneath.
That's
it, the
psychological,
dermatology even
but it stops you
faster.
touching.
And once it kind of comes out, I go and I pop it. I know it's not good, and I would not suggest that you should do it. I'm just being honest and telling you what I do.
I'm enjoying the honesty.
Yeah, me too.
Again, insecurity that I have is, I guess, dry patches because that tends to happen sometimes, especially around my mouth area.
Yeah.
And I know because I don't usually use an exfoliator. The areas around my nose as well get very, very dry and kind of clogged up. So those are my insecurities.
My skin securities, as you put it,
Skin security.
as you put it earlier, are, like I said, I have a lot of acne.
Yeah.
So I get a lot of like post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation.
Look at her with the
I'm
terminology.
really surprised.
In and of itself
So
doesn't
impressed.
always bother me, like not to the extent it bothers
But even
you.
I get marks.
The marks, the pigmentation really bothers me because I feel like my skin is really prone to pigmentation.
Let's talk about this because this is a big point. She's absolutely right. It's called PIH, post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation. What's happened is when you have an acne spot, you then have inflammation, which then leads to histamine release as a chemical mediator in the skin. This then tells the melanocyte, the cell that we talked about before, to produce more pigment. So that melanocyte starts to produce more melanin. How do you reverse hyperpigmentation? You need to use a category of ingredients called tyrosinase inhibitors. Things like alpha-arbutin, niacinamide is very effective, azelaic acid, green tea extract. These are all tyrosinase inhibitors that help to calm down the melanocyte and help to bring them back to normal.
One of the things that I'm most insecure about that I haven't fully, like there's other things that I've come around to, I'm okay with. My dark circles really bother me. Like, they still really bother me.
Okay, let's talk about this. This is a very common insecurity, I think, for skin of color, and particularly for Asians. So let me tell you about dark circles. It's actually called periorbital hyperpigmentation. So that's the term for it. It's just hyperpigmentation around the eyeball area. It's predominantly the highest incidence happens in Indians, and it tends to be genetic. So usually there's people in the family who also have it. It tends to happen from youth, and it tends to get worse as you get older. This is very different to volume loss. Volume loss tends to happen from your 30s onwards, where you lose volume around the eye area and you have more of a sunken eye appearance, which leads to shadowing and leads to dark circles. That's not what she's got. She's got actual periorbital hyperpigmentation. Okay, so with dark circles, you want to use 10 tyrosinase inhibitors, and I actually hadn't found them together formulated in a product for around the eye area. So I've literally made the dark circles kit specifically for dark circles in the skin of color. So I will send you this kit. I think you'll find it very helpful.
There's not a whole lot to be done about that, but it's just something that, it's just a part of my face that I'm still coming to terms with.
Okay, so those were our skin concerns and our skin insecurities. What we want to now, we're going to get into what we usually do. But before that, I want to first say that, firstly, why do we do skincare? Let's break it down. जो लोग सोचते हैं कि स्किन केयर बहुत वेन है, बहुत टाइम स्पेंड करते हो, nothing like that. Your skin is the largest organ in your body. तो जैसे हम अपना गट का ख्याल रखते हैं, मेंटल हेल्थ का ख्याल रखते हैं, लंग्स का ख्याल रखते हैं, बेसिकली बॉडी हेल्थ पे काम करते हैं और ख्याल रखते हैं, the same way you should be taking care of your skin. One is short-term goals, you know, preventing acne, looking glowy, feeling great, having a self-care ritual. I would call that short-term. और दूसरा है long-term, preventative care, जो आप फ्यूचर के लिए कर रहे हो, ताकि आपका स्किन फ्यूचर में भी like 10 years from now, 20 years from now, you're building that foundation for your skin. So that's why I thought, let's just get Shaheen, my skincare guru. Now let's get into it. So I'll start. I wake up in the morning. So this is my pre-gym, which is basically whether I'm going for a shoot or whether I have a day at home. I always do my skincare as soon as I wake up in the morning, and then I go to the gym. This is just pure wash my face, and I literally shower after my gym. Like, this is my routine in every situation. So as I wake up, I cleanse, and I've already cleansed because there's no room to cleanse over here. So I use the Cetaphil Gentle Skin Cleanser. For me, a gentle cleanser
She's absolutely spot on. You want to go gentle with your cleanser. You do not want to strip the skin. I do like Cetaphil. It's got no fragrance in it, so go for the fragrance-free version. The only thing I'd say is there's probably no other actives in it. It's a very simple kind of no-frills cleanser, and it literally just does what it says on the tin. It just cleanses the skin. It doesn't add ceramides. It doesn't plump up the skin. It's not anti-aging. There's no other additional benefits. It literally just does that one thing. And I think nowadays we've sort of moved on when it comes to cleansers, and there are improved products on the market which give you multiple benefits, especially if you're a busy person. You don't have a huge amount of time, especially if she's also going to go to the gym. So if you're going to go to the gym and sweat, so if you're going to go to the gym, I probably would recommend that you go more for a salicylic acid wash. I like the one from CeraVe. Also, you can use our Trio Blemish face wash, which has got niacinamide in it too, plus salicylic acid. So there's just additional benefits that you can now get from face washes, but I do like the fact that she's not going for a stripping drying one. It's such a mistake, and a lot of us thought back in the day, oh, the more tighter it feels, the better it is for my skin. No, it's not. It leads to more sebum production and premature aging, so these are things we want to avoid.
Always works way better than a really foamy hectic cleanser. I don't like the feeling when, you know, जब skin एकदम tight और almost dry हो जाता है cleansing के बाद, for me that's a big no-no. I have to agree though कि earlier I used to think कि oh, इसका मतलब है कि skin बहुत साफ हो रहा है.
Hands up, how many of you thought this?
I realized that it was really making my skin extremely dry, and I was losing a lot of water, and it was really stripping my skin. So then I switched to a gentle cleanser, and this is my go-to.
So I don't cleanse my skin in the morning. I don't feel like I said, I have dry skin. I don't feel like I need to cleanse twice a day. I double cleanse every single evening
Yeah.
because I feel like I have a lot of like SPF on my face that I need to take,
And
like
pollution,
get off my
dirt,
face.
free radicals.
Very rarely. Sometimes if I feel like I still have, because sometimes I do a very moisture locking type of routine. If I feel like my skin has still got a little bit of product,
Then you bring
I'll
it up.
splash a bit of water. No, I still won't use the
Okay.
cleanser.
Okay.
I don't feel like I need it, so I go straight into my into the rest of my steps without
Okay.
cleansing.
All right, let's talk about a bit.
Yeah, so I mean, I have heard that if you have dry skin, you shouldn't cleanse your face. Is this true?
You know what? It's if you've worn actives the night before, then you might want to remove those from the skin.
Right.
If you're a drooler and you dribble at night,
Yeah.
you'll want to wash your face because then you've got amylase around the face, and that can lead to dry skin around the mouth area, which can lead to dull skin around the mouth area and maybe some hyperpigmentation as well. So in that case, I would wash the face, but it's actually not that necessary to wash the face in the morning, especially if you have dry skin. I'd rather actually you kept the fats on the skin.
Right.
And didn't strip the skin too much, so she's absolutely right for doing this, and she can feel it herself that she's doing the right thing.
Yeah, and also I think another question is that she said she double cleanses at night. So
Yes.
with double cleansing and dry skin, is that good?
It's brilliant,
Okay.
actually. So what I'd say is go for an oil-based cleanser first, followed by your Micellar Gel Wash. So if you are looking for a double cleanse, this is the one that I made basically, which is oil melting cleanser followed by your Micellar Gel Wash. So this will remove all the sunscreen dirt from the day, the pollution from the day, and this one cleanses the actual skin. So it's good to use both, even if you have dry skin.
I always use really cold water when I cleanse in the morning. I don't know why.
You don't need to. It's fine.
Okay, so the next step, I don't use a toner, but the next step I go for is, it's like a toning mist sort of a thing. This is one of my favorite products, again given
This
to
is
me
the
by my sister.
Bioma. rich in
Bioma,
ingredients
it's a
in this.
dry ceramide complex, it has probiotics, it's just really great.
Okay, so I looked at the Inky list of this Bioma product, and it's got glycerin, ceramides, anti-inflammatories, it's fragrance-free, it's a very good product, and I would recommend it.
Products, again given to me by my sister. Bioma, it's a dry ceramide complex, it has probiotics, it's just really great. Ceramides in general we love, right? It's
Hero ingredient.
they're the
Absolutely.
huge building blocks of your skin. Really help get rid of any kind of wrinkles, fine lines, smooth skin,
Plump up your
plump
skin,
up
hydrate your skin.
Yeah, so we love ceramide.
I love Shaheen's
It's also
chill.
a great
She
for
is so
environment.
chill, and I just love the fact that she knows what she's talking
It's
about.
just so cool.
Yeah.
Prevents any sort of environmental damage. So
They're so different.
Yeah, they are.
Holly's got so much energy.
Yeah,
When he's
she's
just
just
like,
relaxed. Yeah.
I'm chill.
Yeah, yeah.
So like I said, my skin is a little unhappy at the moment. So my skincare routine that I would be doing today is slightly different than maybe what I usually do. So the first thing that I would go in with today is like a hyaluronic acid serum. This is a SkinCeuticals intensifier.
Okay.
I feel
Shaheen,
like my
we did actually look at the Inky list for this product. So, number one, I'm not a massive fan of hyaluronic acid by itself. I'll tell you why. You tend to have glycerin in all your moisturizers. So, there was a big trend towards, hyaluronic acid. It went all over TikTok. It
Yeah,
became viral.
yeah,
It became its
yeah,
own product. The Ordinary started with 2% hyaluronic acid. Everyone copied The Ordinary, including SkinCeuticals, including Be Minimalist. Everyone came out with their own 2% hyaluronic acid on the back of seeing The Ordinary doing so well in their own blue ocean. The problem is that hyaluronic acid, if you use it in a humid environment, you're okay. But if you're in a dry environment, you're actually going to make your skin drier. Number one. Number two, it's an unnecessary active to be layering on the skin when there are other better actives, especially for Shaheen, where I'd say use tyrosinase inhibitors. That's going to be better for you for hyperpigmentation than hyaluronic acid, which you can only layer really one or two things. You can't layer 3 or 4 things. By the time you get to the 5th thing, it's not actually penetrating into the skin anymore.
Okay.
So it's kind of a waste of a layer, a waste of time, waste of money. But on top of that, the product she's chosen is actually a ridiculously expensive product for what it is.
Yeah,
It's
it's
£82.
yeah.
So
That's too much.
This is the Inky of what's actually in this. The 4th ingredient here is denatured alcohol. Denatured alcohol is volatile. It evaporates from the skin and it takes water away with it. It actually dehydrates the skin. So Shaheen's skin's already dry. This is likely to actually further dry the skin without her even knowing it's happening.
Yeah.
So immediately, yes, you feel refreshed, but then very quickly is going to dry the skin. So it's actually better to go with the ordinary or be minimalist if you really want to use hyaluronic acid. But actually, all of you should already have glycerin in your moisturizer. So for example, in our Cera-Pep Brightening Moisturiser, we have glycerin in it, but most of you are going to have it. If it's not in your moisturizer, you're using the wrong moisturizer. But it's a very common, very cheap ingredient. Yeah?
Yeah, I'm learning.
I'm learning.
So now, what I'm thinking here is I need to cut out the hyaluronic acid from my skincare
Do you have hyaluronic acid?
Yeah.
Okay, let's delete that.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you better. I'm going to give you better serums.
So I'm deleting that from tomorrow morning now. That's it, gone.
Shaheen's not going to want to be my friend, but I want to be your friend, Shaheen. You're so lovely.
Moisture at the moment, so hyaluronic acid I find is a really good way to ensure.
And then imagine 82 pounds of doing
that
this
is
with. Shaheen, how much money have you got?
Essentially, the way the hyaluronic acid
It's all on our hand.
draws in moisture from your environment. It's a humectant. It draws in moisture from the environment. So, and we live in a humid climate.
Okay, good.
It's a little drier right now, but it's still a very humid climate. So it's great for humid climate. It just draws in that moisture. So today, I'm starting off with a hyaluronic acid.
My next step would be a serum.
Okay.
I don't have too many serums to choose from. I have like 2 for my AM routine. I'm gonna go in today with the Rhode Peptide Glazing Fluid. It's just honestly one of my favorite products. It was a nightmare trying to get it to me.
Let's talk about this particular
it's
product.
here.
Okay, so I actually spoke about this on Fox News Celebrity. I did a celebrity segment, but one of them, so it was Rhode from Hailey Bieber's products.
Yeah.
So I do really like the price point of her range, and it's fragrance free, which I love. And it's a decent formula, so it's got glycerin and niacinamide in it. But this is where marketing in cosmetics is not good. It's not well regulated, because the absolute last ingredient on the ingredients list, right at the bottom with the lowest percentage, is peptides.
Right.
But yet in the title of the product it says Rhode Peptide Glazing Serum. You think you're putting on,
Like
a
so
decent
much,
amount of peptides onto the skin, but you're not. It's the absolute last ingredient. It's at a fraction of a percent. You don't even know if it's working or not. And this is the reason why I started this whole YouTube channel, so that actually all my following are very educated at reading the ingredients list and thinking whether or not this product is worth the money, or whether it's all hype, it's all celebrity bump, and whether it's worth buying or not. But peptides are brilliant. They're great at fading fine lines. They're great at plumping up the skin. They're great for anti-aging. They create a healing environment for the skin. Peptides are wonderful ingredients, great for skin of color, but really you need to be using them at the percentages that are effective. And for that reason, I'm not a fan of this particular product. Is that Hailey?
Yeah.
Hailey, where's my peptide serum?
Exactly.
It's not arrived. It's in customs. Customs are stolen.
Again, peptides. Tanna, you want to speak a little bit about peptides? I just take like 2 or 3 pumps.
Yeah, so peptides.
She's going to rub it on her hands. Watch. She's going to do this now.
Also really
Yeah, a little bit. So
kind of with
let's
same
save the
things.
expensive
It helps
product.
with a lot of the hydration.
At least she's
It
going to
helps
do.
with
No.
just building up that skin barrier. Essentially, it's ceramides, peptides.
Keeps your skin firm,
Yeah.
smooth. Ceramides are more
I love that she's
hydrating than peptides.
packaging rather than like.
Yeah.
I think from what I've read and learned, the combination of ceramides and peptides go great together.
Absolutely. That's what Cera-Pep is.
Yeah.
Put them
There you
together,
go.
ceramides and peptides together.
Ta-da!
3, because you do a cleanse step.
Yeah.
So my step number 2 today again is very different than what it would usually be. Today I'm going in instead with an avocado ceramide recovery serum. So again, what we were talking about, ceramides. It's just helping again with that skin barrier. It's helping soothe my skin, which is what I think I really need more of at the moment.
Soothing.
Nourishing.
Okay, so when you want to try to soothe and nourish the skin, you want to go with the kind of ingredients to look for are allantoin, aloe, panthenol. So these are all anti-inflammatories, and ideally humectants and emollients. So things like urea are brilliant as well.
Soothing and nourishing. Genuinely, this next product is like really soothing and nourishing. So now after my serum, I would follow up with a moisturizer because it's daytime. I would go for a completely lightweight moisturizer. Of course, unless I'm in some extreme cold climate, then I would go for a heavier moisturizer. I mean, you can go like for a more gel-based, like hydrating, like which is more water-based, kind of like a heavier serum. A moisturizer, which is a complete moisturizer, is very different. So hydration is one side, moisturizing is one side, right?
Not really.
I like how I'm looking at you for validation.
So basically a moisturizer has three main parts to it. So you have an emollient, the occlusive, and then the humectant. So depending on the percentages of those three categories, you have either a lighter gel-based moisturizer, which is right. You'd recommend that more for oily, acne-prone skin, or a heavier, thicker moisturizer. So I'll give you an example. So with our Cera-Pep, first of all, you want to have it in an airless pump, but you want to make sure that the moisturizer doesn't fall off your hand. So you should be able to put your hand upside down.
Wow.
That means you've got a high BHATT content. It's a little trick that you can do. And then that's great if you're coming from a dry environment. Whereas if it's gel-based, it tends to be clear, it tends to have a higher water content. You get the immediate hydration effect, which is great for preventing excess sebum production, but doesn't also clog up the pores. You don't want comedogenic ingredients. So yeah, she's spot on with that.
So my next product would be this dew in my defense. It's one of my favorite products.
Can't find
don't
this
think I've
product
ever
online.
felt
Dew Defense.
this
I even
like
looked at it
attached
online.
to a product, okay? And
Who
this,
brought it into your life?
of course, SHAHEEN as well. This also has ceramides.
Good. We can't get enough ceramides. We need more ceramides.
Yeah. And literally, it has I put quite a bit. Honestly, I put like 4 pumps. But on this, it says soothing, calming, strengthening, nourishing. All words that we love.
I just love
So,
that.
Yeah, me too.
very often I also like to moisturize my ears.
Yeah. I also like to, I mean, I usually go in on my neck also. I think
Yes.
I have not done that.
Absolutely.
I would usually go in on my neck as well. So my next step today is again not something I usually do. Today I'm going in with a caffeine solution for my under eyes because I feel like my under eyes are
is the
feeling a
ordinary
little
one.
puffy.
Yeah, the ordinary female has
that's
got
what
one
I
as well. It's quite a few.
Yeah, I don't do this very often.
Okay,
I
let's
just
talk
use
about
it on,
caffeine under the
like,
eyes. Okay, so caffeine is one of those ingredients that has catapulted in popularity when it
Yeah.
comes to under eye products. Often, the vast majority of under eye creams is just a basic moisturizer, and they've just put it into a smaller tube and they charge 3 times the price. That's usually what happens with under eye creams. But actually, the skin around the eye is much thinner and it has different skincare concerns to the rest of the face. We tend to get, for example, periorbital hyperpigmentation. We get fine lines here first. So actually, the ingredients that you want around the eye area are a little bit different to the ingredients you would want on the face. You'd want a product formulated specifically for this area. There aren't many, to be honest, on the market. The vast majority are absolute nonsense. And caffeine is an antioxidant. Okay, there's a mixed bag of evidence whether or not it doesn't reduce any hyperpigmentation. It helps a little bit with depuffing, but not much. It's something that you kind of psychologically think you're doing something for around the eye area, so you feel good about it, but it's really a waste of time and a waste of money. It's not the key active that I would look for really for around the eye area. But honestly, right now the market is absolutely horrendous when it comes to eye creams. There just aren't many that I would recommend. So I can understand that she's doing what she can with what's out there, but there just isn't much out there right now.
Like on certain days, today is one of those days where I feel like it's what I want to do. I don't believe in using eye cream, like in the sense that the under eyes need hydration, absolutely, but I don't think you need to buy a separate eye cream.
Yeah.
Your moisturizer works just fine. I used to think, and eye creams are really expensive as well. Like they're just a really expensive thing.
Ridiculous.
This is my next step. It's just a caffeine depuffs under the eyes basically. And I feel like I want that.
And actually then that's it. Like last step would be the most important step, which is SPF. Again, this
Good. Good girl.
Sunscreen which Shaheen suggested to me has changed my life because it's
Which one is it?
it's called
So-
Fusion Water 50 SPF. It's just really great. It feels great. It's light, and I feel
Okay, let's talk about this particular product. So this is a chemical sunscreen. It does contain fragrance. I had a look at the inky list.
Oh.
Yeah, it's so just so you know a little bit about the difference between chemical and physical sunscreen. Chemical sunscreens they enter the bloodstream, and we tend to say during pregnancy, make sure you only use physical sunscreen. So for me, I would only ever use physical sunscreen, which is zinc oxide, not a hybrid. I would use just a physical sunscreen, and I'd put that on my kids, and I would recommend it for women who are going through pregnancy as well. We just don't know the long-term effects of chemical sunscreens, over the next 20, 30 years, which is why we tend to recommend chemical sunscreens. But often chemical sunscreens give a white cast to the face and people don't like it. So about a year ago, I did create our mineral SPF 50, which was designed for skin of color. So I'll show you what it looks like. That's zinc, fragrance free, but I also put in Mela Shield, which is good for hyperpigmentation. So this is just, as you know, I'm a formulator for skin of color. So this is one of the products that I made, which gives you no white cast, and you put it on, put your makeup on, and protects you throughout the day. But ultimately, if I would rather you wore a chemical sunscreen than no sunscreen. Sunscreens are essential to prevent you from premature aging, cancer, hyperpigmentation. There's a big myth that if you have brown skin, you don't need to wear sunscreen, which is
Who said that? Who said
all
that?
the parents, all the grandparents. And the thought process is, but you've got darker skin, you've got melanin, but that only gives you an SPF rating of 15, and we need SPF 50 to prevent us from premature aging. A lot of us don't want to wrinkle sooner than we need to. And so this is one of the things that you can do to protect yourself. So I'm really glad that she's talking about SPF 50.
I'm very protective. So I actually do something quite cute with it. So they say two
She's so cute.
fingers. So I do this and I do a smiley face. Because when it comes to SPF, honestly, more is more.
Her sister's like, okay.
No.
I love her sister.
Shaheen is hilarious.
SPF
More is more. You can't. Yeah, I'm extremely proud of you because a lot of people think just using a teeny tiny amount of SPF is enough. No, you need. There's a certain amount that you need. 2 fingers is the best way.
Good girl, look at this girl.
Yeah.
She just knows her stuff.
A short,
Also, what happens is usually I'm going for shoot, so I don't land up topping my sunscreen up because I have to put makeup on. So I like to really go for a heavy.
Okay. Okay, let's quickly rebuff that. Even if you're wearing makeup, please reapply sunscreen. Even if it's a powder SPF 50, that's great. So if you're on shoot, for example, and you want to it's brilliant for even absorbing any oil, and you're preventing yourself from getting melasma, especially if you're up in the mountains, or you've got a lot of light on you if you're on set, or you're outside and there's a lot of UV on your skin. In order to prevent aging, top up the sunscreen with a powder SPF 50. And the other mistake she made is make sure you always put it at the back of your hand so you can see exactly how much you're doing. I tend to recommend about 1/4 teaspoon to 1/2 teaspoon for the face, but she's put it like face, neck, ears, everything with just that small amount. So put it here, dot it on the face, and then just use a couple of fingers to rub it in rather than your whole hand, because then you're wasting product on that fingers as well.
Yes, ma'am.
Kind of this thing, and then the makeup comes on top of it, so because I can't take my makeup off, put sunscreen, put makeup on again. It just doesn't happen. So I really go for a good dose.
So my next step is now my moisturizer. Today I'm going in with Derma. It's again a soothing, repairing cream.
So I looked into Derma, and actually it's a safe fatty moisturizer. I love it. Very good moisturizer, and I would recommend it. Really good for actually damaged skin barriers. So Shaheen's spot on with this particular product.
Well, I had at one point destroyed my skin barrier because I was using too many actives and too regularly,
Very
almost
common.
every day, which is what you were saying.
That's what happened to me.
We got into that
also.
zone where it was you think you have to use every active every day, all at the same time, and doing that I completely destroyed my skin barrier.
100%.
And this, honestly, it completely saved my skin. It was given to me by my dermatologist.
Okay.
And
I also use this when before using dew, I was using this.
Yeah, so I tend to go in with quite a lot of moisturizer. Like I said, my skin's dry, so I prefer using, quite a bit of moisture.
Yeah.
Also, I think at Derma, do you have the same one? Yours is the soothing repair cream.
Yeah.
I got anti-marks.
I looked for anti-marks, I couldn't find
I
it.
pick a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know how many Terrell's
Where
different
is it? I'm getting all of this from.
Again,
a Derma,
suggested on my
but I don't know if that
dermatologist,
particular
suggest,
product's
like,
any
you
good.
Focus on the areas that you feel like you have.
If you guys know
marks,
that
it's
product,
just
write it down,
kind of
link
feel
it, and I'll
like-
look at the Inky list.
So I find this is really good for me. It's not, I wouldn't say it's a lightweight moisturizer. It's a fairly
But it's not heavy though.
it's not heavy, but there are days where I would go in with a heavier moisturizer. I like a lot of moisture. Sometimes I feel like I
girl.
almost over moisturize, but I just feel like my skin feels really nice when I have
Yeah.
that I feel more comforted with that extra hydration. And I like to put like my extra moisturizer. on my
100%. I'm
hands.
in the same,
Yeah,
literally the same.
Like-
Agreed. Right, so we are in the comment section for 1 hour at the launch of every single video. So please do write down below your questions and comments. I have to say, I was absolutely shocked, stunned, impressed with this video.
Me too.
There's
I
knowledge
love it.
levels
Yeah,
are excellent. I really thought they
yeah.
were going to come in with some haldi and some yogurt and some eggs
It
and
was
like
none of
mix
that.
it with salmonella poisoning, but none of that happened. It was spot on. Inculus percentage actives were good. Product recommendations I think were very good. I'm really impressed. I love it. I'm just so happy.
Our new favourite sister duo.
Yeah.
They knew Dr. V was going to watch this.
I don't know if they did.
They knew it.
I
They
don't-
did. They knew it. And now they're going to know about your products as well. So
Oh.
in their next video, they're going to be using like...
Hey, here's a Dr. Vegan. No, you don't need to buy my products. It's just as an example to show you good ingredients used together, formulated correctly, that don't irritate your skin. That's absolutely the most important thing. So thank you so much for watching, and please do join us next time for our next video.
Yay,
Take care.
bye.
Bye.